right, everybody, welcome back. Another exciting episode here of Leap into the Week. As always, have my fearless guest right here with me, Mr. Patrick Fingles, CEO over at Leap. Everybody, the number one CRM in the country, built for contractors. So get with the game, all right? But today, we're talking about if you're a contractor, how are you going to stand out in your market? I mean, you may be in that area where you've got maybe 100 contractors that you're competing against. It's a crowded metro area where other people are beginning to move into your market that at one time was not so crowded. You were the only guy, the only player in the game. Today, we're talking to Patrick about what he would do in a crowded market and what he has done to differentiate his companies and stand out from the competition. Patrick, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. As always, man, I'm excited.
Of course, man. We're moving in here 2 months in. Folks, go back and watch weeks 1 through 7. Some great stuff last week we had from Patrick, and we appreciate it. Patrick, we're talking about these crowded markets, and I want to start with a question that's near and dear to your heart right now, and that's Leap. I mean, let's be honest. The CRM market is I'm going to say cutthroat one at times. This tech world. I mean, this ain't for the faint of heart, brother. So you know very well, having been and sold a contracting company, now you're helping contractors and competing against big boys. What are you telling your people now behind the scenes? How is Leap doing this right now? And what suggestions would you make to contractors?
Yeah, so I have a philosophy. I learned this on both sides of the business, and I've actually shared this with you at IRE when we were talking. And it goes like this: you can be something to everyone, or you can be everything to someone. And I think that that's really important in crowded markets. It seems like just some saying that somebody made up, but be something to everyone or be everything to someone. And in lots of places of life, you can already start thinking, man, where am I everything to someone? People automatically go to their children, they go to their wives, they go to their friends, and they're like, I want to be my wife's everything. I want to be my husband's everything, right? To be my child's everything. They're the most important things in the world to me. Well, in business, it should be the same conversation. In business, there's this fear of FOMO. Oh yeah, we need this partner, we need that partner. We don't want to exclude ourselves to just this county or this town. We want to serve the greater Atlanta market. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you're failing. I mean, you're dabbling in the greater Atlantic market. You're not serving anybody. You're not everything to someone. You're some little thing to a whole lot of people. So, in those scenarios, you kind of have to get small. I have a business, call him an operating partner, an advisor. And she told me, about this thing that's like the bullseye effect. So, if you got one dart and you can hit any place on the board, what do? You hit a bullseye. Right. And so, when you're playing darts, eventually you want to learn to hit out from the bullseye. But if I told you, Patrick, you can only hit one place every time you throw a dart, it only hits one place on the board. It's the only thing that you can hit. Other than that, you miss. And you're like, bullseye, bullseye, bullseye. But then you start thinking, I might not be able to win the games where I need to hit a 20 or an 18 or a 17 or something like that. But it's like, no, but it's pretty cool because somebody hands me a dart, I hit the bull. Somebody hands me the dart, I hit the bull. I do it with my eyes closed. So it's that's an amazing thing to be able to do. I put 7 darts all in the bullseye. And then so what happens is once you can hit the bullseye blindfolded, then you say, okay, let's move out from the bullseye. Think of like a target. Let's move out from that. So, for us, like at Leap, what we try to do is we try to get small. We have lots of product functionality, but we do some things really, 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 really well. And that's what we celebrate. People use us for this. They use us for that. They use us for this. We do a lot of things. Trust me, I mean, it's software. You got to do, you do some things really well and you do some things light. I think for us, the strategy isn't looking at the things that we don't do well and figuring out how to fix that so we can be everything to everyone. What we do is a little bit different. We look at the things that we do really well and we figure out the people that we can connect that with and we go after them.
Well, Patrick,
we say, hey, we do this really well. We do it better than anybody else.
So I'm asking maybe an ignorant question right here, so forgive me, but could it be difficult for some contractors to figure out what they do really well or better than everybody else? Have you found that, like, because I mean, I would think, okay, maybe it sounds in theory very easy to figure out, okay, I do this better than everybody. But isn't it possible that what you do great, maybe nobody likes, but what you do, maybe you're maybe A, B, and C, but what you're doing down here in the C level is really resonating with people, except you just don't like doing it. But you don't even know that that's your best product is that third one down. I'm just wondering if that's tough.
I mean, listen, you don't have to it's not just an organic result of what you do. It can be what you want to do well, but just know what you want to do and who you're doing it for. So, for instance, you're in a crowded Atlanta market, right? And obviously, you want to attack the entire market, right? And then maybe even you're going to spin up an office in Savannah or something like that, right? And so, like, that's our goal. But right now, we're an Atlanta roofing company, and I think, like, so maybe not even Atlanta, maybe it's a subset. It's like, man, Atlanta's a massive market. What we really do well is this county. It's where we're located. It's our backyard. Our jobs are concentrated here. We did an episode a while back, I think, where I taught you how to get the market share. You figure out what your market share is in your own backyard, and then you kind of change your advertising and your strategy. And you say, until we're at 40, 50% market share in our backyard, we're not leaving the bullseye. We're not doing it. We're hitting bullseyes until we do it. So the message then becomes, hey, we're Atlanta's #1 roofing company, which is a lie, or Atlanta's #1 window company, unless you are. But, like, let's hypothetically say if you're a smaller guy, and it becomes, hey, I don't know, a subset of Atlanta, but like for us, it would be like we're Howard County's go-to premier contractor. And what's funny is I think every contractor could say, you know what? Somebody in my market's saying that already. And we didn't want to do that because we feel pigeonholed to that. Mm-hmm. So there comes that FOMO. So people are afraid of the bull. They are, man. It's hard. It's like with our software definitely works better for particular verticals than other verticals, but we have some people that use it that are in these unique verticals. So it's like, hey, do we want to say, hey, we're really a product for these particular people, or are we a product for everyone? Because we have 3 people that are, way over here selling palm trees, and they're like, hey, we got 3 palm tree companies that are using our software. So let's not exclude them from our marketing, our messaging, our brand, and what we do, because we don't want to exclude that potential business. And so I think getting yourself narrow, and figuring out what you're doing well is a whole lot different than like excluding people, because again, you bellow out from the bull. Right. I mean, you kind of ripple out from it. I mean, you think of 1,000 companies that do this and like they did this really well. Like Starbucks sold coffee. That's it. Dunkin' Donuts sold donuts. Like that was it. Then they sold coffee. Then they sold sandwiches. When they were trying to become the donut kings of the world, they weren't worried about the coffee market or the flatbread market or whatever, So, companies do that really, really well. So think about today, think about what you do today, think about who you serve today, champion that, cheer that, get your company rally cry behind that, sell that. And when that starts to decay, start to create a vision to bellow out from the bull. I just coined that phrase. I don't know if bellow is a word, but it means to me like kind of ripple out, I think, or something like that. But, start to ripple out from that. You can cut somebody off for 12 months or 18 months and get really focused and then ripple.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
It does. Bellow out from the bull, man. Of course. I mean, everybody knows that. I love the saying. When we're talking about this, let's stay on this, coming out from the bullseye right here. I think that there are some contractors that may feel like, Patrick, I want to make an impact outside of my bullseye, but I'm competing against guys in my area. They got $50 million budgets, or they got $1 million budget. I mean, I got an office person administrator who happens to be my sister-in-law, and I got a budget of maybe $10,000 for the whole year I've devoted towards that marketing side. I'll talk about referrals in a minute. Can that guy still compete? Should he be down on himself? What advice do you have for that contractors in that scenario right there, Patrick?
It's everybody. Listen, first of all, that never goes away because there's always somebody bigger. So you're never going to go away. I mean, and then believe it or not, when you become the premier in your market, let's say you build the largest home improvement company in the nation, whoever's managing that or running that, I promise, is looking at some other industry where, look, oh man, I built $1 billion home improvement business, but it still only scratches the surface to the $7 billion or $10 billion business I could build if I was in this other place. So when you're looking up, I mean, you can always look up, right? I mean, you really can. So, I think when you're small, trying to compare yourself to somebody else, I think one, it's probably a fool's errand because it's infinite. You're always going to do it, except for a select few people in this world that have made it to the tippy top, right? But even they're probably competing against one another on a daily basis. So it's a little bit of a fool's errand. So, I think when you try to, think about taking market share from that company, or you think about your $10,000 advertising budget, I think you should do it through the lens of ROI. I have $10,000 to spend. How can I turn it into 20? How could I turn it into 30? How could I turn it into 40? How could I turn it into 50, 60, 70, or 80? What's the best place for me to do that? And the best place for you to do that most likely has nothing to do with how that big competitor is doing it. Yes. It's probably totally different. Like they're on television and they're on radio and they got mailers going out and they got billboards on the interstate. Yeah, they're not doing that with $10,000. So the relevance of them goes bye-bye. And the relevance of, okay, how do I get the most ROI for $10,000? Forget the ecosystem that's out there. And that's how you go after it. And then before you know it, you're on the billboard. Because that $10,000 budget this year, if you were ROI focused, you turned it into 60 or 70 and you used your own playbook to do it, not the playbook that you see a $50 million company using, because their advertising budget's extreme. I wasted a lot of money doing that. Yeah. I talk from a place of experience, not from a place of knowledge. Right. So, I wasted a ton of money because, I looked at these companies like I want to be those companies. So let me mimic those companies. Well, those companies didn't get there by mimicking somebody else. They got there by trailblazing. So, you got to, you have to figure out your way up that. So maybe they don't have to do canvassing anymore because they don't want to deal with that. But maybe for your $10,000, the best thing you can do is hire, 4 or 5 guys to go pound the pavement, pay them, $12 an hour, or $13, whatever it takes plus commissions. That might not be their strategy, but it's yours. And that's how you're going to grow. So, I think that it's a little bit of a fool's errand to focus too much. It's different than laying in bed and having dreams of being that size or taking business inspiration from them, tactical business inspiration. That's different than building your business model to attack theirs when it's a fraction of the size. So you might have to be Columbia's #1 roofing contractor, even though you're isolating windows and you're isolating siding and you're isolating your one-day bath. You might have to just do that and narrow in. And you know what? I just want to say, when you look at the big companies that advertise on TV, you'll find that most of them advertise a single product and they sell those alternative products. So what are they doing? They're trying to hit the bull. They're like, nope, on this medium, all we do is go after this. It's in this market. This product is more open than this product. We go after roofing in the Northeast and the Southeast. There's no one-day bath company, so we go after that and we get small. Well, what about roofing in the Southeast? Don't you want to attack that? No, we just want to grow. And if we can grow faster by selling one product and we can grow by selling 3 products, then great, let's do it that way. I need less people that know how to install these things. I have concentrated marketing effort. I need less salespeople complaining that I'm not giving them enough leads for that particular product. And I'm growing at a rate of 50% or 100%. And that's what I want to do. The easiest, simplest way to do that is the best plan.
Yeah, so much of what you're telling me right now, Patrick, I keep on kind of thinking to myself, it takes a business owner willing to kind of maybe step back from a little bit of that pride factor, seems like, to look at it through a lens of ROI instead of looking at it through a lens of what is my competition doing and am I keeping up with the Joneses, as the saying goes, rather than am I making the most out of the budget that's directly in front of me.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah,
sometimes it's the sheep that strays from the flock that finds the best grass. I mean, just 100%. Sometimes you get eaten by a wolf.
Okay.
So whatever, but you go into crisis, you go back into formulation, right? So if you listen to my last ones, I mean, we go over here, this is our plan, we're going to go in this direction, we think it will work for our business, we go into concentration, we get eaten by a wolf. There was no grass over there, right? And then what we do, we go back into formulation, we regroup with the flock, and we keep doing that.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking about it from your perspective. I love this, bellowing out from the bull. Sometimes as you're bellowing out there from that bullseye, you're probably going to take a couple shots that are just going to miss the board. Until you get better at it and you're actually hitting that greater bullseye that you're actually aiming for right there. You're bellowing out from that thing right there.
Yeah. The trick is to know to know when to fail. So, there's sayings around this. Anything there's sayings around is always like an area that you should really try to invest in education. Don't get on those sayings. Hire slow, fire fast. Train them in classes, kick them in asses, right? There's don't be afraid to fail fast. Whenever you hear sayings around something, it means that there's a problem in the environment that multiple people have experienced and people don't know how to solve it in a singular fashion, because you can't solve it in a singular fashion. It's highly customizable to the scenario. In some instances, it makes sense to hire quick and fire fast. In some instances, it makes sense to hire very slow and fire slow. In some instances, it makes sense to hire in classes. In some instances, it doesn't. It's a one-on-one, right? So what's really important is in the concentration state. Like, so you're trying something, hey, we're going to be the premier roofer for the Columbia, Maryland. That's where I'm at, Maryland. We're Columbia, Maryland. We're going to start there. We're going to see if our leads convert at a higher rate if we narrow our advertising. Instead of sending like broad stroke advertising, we're going to get real small. We're going to work that. But we're going to go for referrals, and it's going to be a Columbia referral network or Columbia homeowner referral network. We're going to get really small, and we're going to test that. And we're going to see if that works. And then we're going to replicate that over here in this other town, Ellicott City, or whatever else it is. And we're going to prove that theory. The important thing is when you do your formulation, you do your plan, and you move into that concentration state. A lot of times people build a plan, they go to execute the plan doesn't work. So then they fall back on this saying, fail fast. And they're like, hey, we gave it a shot, it failed. Hold on for a second, because that's the number one problem in business is you put together a plan, you go to execute it, and it fails, and you go immediately change the plan. Because changing the plan is easier than digging your goddamn heels in and going to work and staying committed and true. You learn this from wars. I mean, the first wave, they typically take a beating. You can either say retreat and run back, or you can send the second wave, then the infantry, then the cavalry. And sometimes that's hard because those first waves are taking a beating. And it took us, we lost more men than we thought we were going to lose, but we won. That's a bad scenario because I'm using war terminology, but it's sometimes it feels that way when you're trying to launch something or do something and you're a business owner, you're staying up at night, you're stressed, and you're thinking, is this plan going to work? And you bail on it too early. So, you do want to take chances. You do want to fail at things, but you don't want to fail because of execution. And sometimes that line gets real blurry between, was the process the right process? Was the initiative the right initiative? Or were we executing it poorly? You can also dig your heels in for way too long. And, you have vanity in it. You've tried to execute it. It's not working. And you just dig your heels in and you keep pushing your team and keep executing. And then you can lose the war.
Yeah.
You lose the initiative. So understanding that point is really, really critical.
Folks, we're with Patrick Fingles here, CEO over at Leap. I encourage you to go over to Leap to Digital. Patrick, we are talking today about competing within a crowded market. And that's the final question I have for you is this. Referrals right now, man. Sometimes when we're talking about competing in a market, referrals can be something that are overlooked. We're so busy trying to get the SEO and trying to drive traffic. Referrals can be such a powerful point and such a powerful pressure point or point for a contractor out there to grow their market share. In your experience, is this a part of the company that is overlooked, the opportunity to capitalize on the business already in the door? And what have you been successful at? How have you been successful in garnering more business from the people that are already fans of your company?
Yeah. So one, I think referrals are highly subject to the products that you sell. I mean, it does make a difference. If you sell something that is pretty repeatable or kind of goes in waves, for instance, like say you're selling solar, solar is something that everybody can have. So you get into a community, you're selling alarms, you're selling pests, you're selling something like that, landscaping, where the community is you're going to see the same people coming in and out of the community, right? Like in my community, everybody's got the same alarm sign. Like when the community was built, they came in, they wiped it out, man. They got everybody, right? Very referral based, probably heavy concentrated on canvassing, and they just got it done, right? Same thing with solar. Other products, roofing and windows, still very good for referrals, but maybe it's not the entire business model because, you do a great job for somebody. Like I don't know anybody that's in the market for windows right now. Like let's say I love Windows, right? Like I love the company, right? Universal Windows Direct. I'm a champion for them, right? But I don't know anybody needs Windows. So if I come across somebody who needs Windows in the next 10 years, happy to send them their way. But it's not a typical conversation, right? But it doesn't mean that they don't focus on it. Sure, they get them and you have to put programs in place. So I don't think anybody should ignore word of mouth advertisement. It's cheap. It closes at a really high rate. I mean, talk to Ryan Groth over at Sales Transformation Group. I mean, he's very passionate about it, right? And I totally align with everything he's saying. But know your business, know your plan, and be like, and look, when you talk about expansion or you talking about bellowing out, be like, hey man, is there a product that we can bring in that's maybe really referral based to help offset the ROI or investment costs on, this other product that we sell, which is, has a much smaller referral market. It is not dead. There's a referral play for every product that's sold. It does take work. However, you can think about it more strategically because I do think there's a referral play frequency that increases based on the product. And that's a product that you could bring into your business.
Folks, if you missed any of this, of course, we were talking here with Patrick Fingles about standing out in a crowded market. Patrick, obviously, I'm taking the bellow out from the bull out of this one. You can be something to everyone, or you can be everything to someone. That right there, in my opinion, really sums up the approach within a crowded market. I love what you said about looking at your marketing budget through the lens of an ROI, not through the lens of your competitor. And then finally, a strategic approach to referral-based business. We get so caught up in just looking at it as a overarching umbrella. I think some contractors would be good to look at it in a much more strategic, product-based approach into what is working and what is not, and then go all in for those referrals on that product that perhaps is working best for them within their company. There's a lot of great stuff here. Man, I appreciate you joining us for episode number 8. As always, everybody, if you want the best CRM in the game and you're a contractor, you go over to Leap to Digital, get with the crew over there. They'll walk you through everything that Leap can do for you. You will not be disappointed. We have a lot of clients who are using them right now. They're loving all the new features, man. They're loving the reliability, the app out there in the field. So get with the program so you can scale and grow your business faster than your competition, and you can stand out in a crowded market. Patrick, as always, thank you so much for everything, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the advocacy too.
Of course, man. You guys are great. I love you for always, man. I mean, I think it's the best product. I mean, it's not BS. It's the best thing you got out there in the market right now. The way you guys are taken care of, and your stages are the best. If you
for us, by us, baby. It's built for us, by us.
if you can't customize your damn stages on your CRM to what your business is doing right now, and you can't make it your own, you're in the wrong game right now. And so please get with Leap to Digital so you can start to customize this for your business. But I'll end my plug right there, but it actually works. Thanks a lot, brother.